What happens when Porsche takes its Le Mans winning 963 prototype and makes it street legal? You get the RSP, a one-off hybrid V8 weapon with a license plate. It's not a tribute, it's not a softened track toy, it's the real thing that's barely tamed. The 963 RSP is Porsche at its most unfiltered. Based directly on the 963 LMDh race car currently storming circuits in WEC and IMSA, it keeps the hybrid twin-turbo V8, carbon monocoque, and factory-spec aero. It's not softened, just civilized enough to wear a license plate. It's a technical marvel, but also a nod to Porsche's tradition of letting its race cars breathe road air, just like that one-off 917 back in the 1970s. The difference is that was a loophole, this is a statement. So what's actually powering this one-off land missile? Well, at its core, the Porsche 963 RSP runs a 4.6-liter twin-turbo V8. Yes, that V8. It's the same one that's been quietly evolving behind the scenes of Porsche's racing division for nearly 2 decades. It started life as a 3.4-liter screamer in the RS Spider LMP car, then grew into a naturally aspirated 4.6-liter centerpiece for the 918 Spider, and now it returns boosted, refined, and track-proven inside the 963. The combined power output is around 680 horsepower. That's both the twin-turbo V8 and the hybrid system working together, but make no mistake, the V8 does the heavy lifting. The hybrid system here is more like a supporting act rather than a headliner. In fact, Porsche intentionally dialed it back. The electric unit maxes out at just 70 horsepower, a far cry from the aggressive hybrid stance used in full race trim. This toned-down setup keeps things manageable for street use, while still offering that extra surge when needed. Think of it as the world's most sophisticated boost button. What's really wild is how familiar all of this is. Roughly 80% of the components in this car's powertrain are shared with the 918 Spider, a reminder that Porsche wasn't playing around when it called that car a blueprint for the future. Now, here in the 963 RSP, that blueprint has been sharpened, pressurized, and told to behave just enough to get it road certified. Now let's talk about what it's like to actually sit inside this machine, or more accurately, strap in. Once you're inside, the cabin is exactly what you'd expect from a converted endurance racer, except it's not entirely stripped out. There's one seat, just one, but it's plush, heavily padded, and tailored for comfort over long drives, and you'll need it too, because while the padding helps, you still feel everything. Every gear shift, every chassis quiver, every tire nibble. It all echoes up through the carbon tub like the car is speaking directly to your spine. The steering wheel is all race car. It's full of switches, digital readouts, and menus that make a pilot sweat. There's even a 3D printed cup holder, custom made by Porsche, because apparently one person at the factory decided you deserve hydration with your G-forces. There are blinkers, sort of, just one button that toggles between left and right indicators. Confusing? Absolutely. Legal? Barely. But yes, there's also a horn, because if you're going to terrify traffic in a 750 horsepower race car, you should at least be polite about it. Oh, and the steering feel? Forget power assist or dampening. It's super direct, raw race car. The kind of feedback that tells you not just where the tires are, but what they're feeling. It's not just driving, it's translation, from road to car to driver, all in real time. Now from the outside, the 963 RSP still looks very much like what it is, a Le Mans prototype with no intention of blending in. But if you look closer, you'll spot the subtle tweaks that separate this one-off from its track-born sibling. Porsche didn't just slap plates on the race car and call it a day. They went in with precision. The wheel arch vents have been cleaned up for a slightly more civilized appearance. Aero flicks were shaved off the wing ends, because as aggressive as they look on the grid, they'd slice pedestrians in half at a crosswalk, which is not exactly ideal. There's a 3D printed RSP badge on the rear that quietly flexes its uniqueness. Up front, retro Michelin logos nod to Porsche's long racing history, while the modified headlights finally make this thing street legal, at least technically. But the real detail, it's the little enamel badge and the number plate. Together, they confirm the impossible. This thing can actually be driven on the road legally. Sort of. The whole car is finished in a martini silver paint to sample color, an intentional throwback to Porsche's most iconic endurance racers. It's a design cue that anchors the future-looking 963 RSP to its past, a reminder that this spaceship has a bloodline. In motion or at rest, it doesn't just look fast, it looks forbidden, like something that escaped from the paddock and never looked back. Now, let's be clear, if we're talking numbers, the 963 RSP probably isn't faster than a Ferrari SF90 or a McLaren Speedtail in a straight line, but raw speed isn't the point here. The difference lies in intensity, in presence, in how this car feels the second it fires to life. Because this isn't some sanitized, digitally filtered hypercar experience. It's a world away from launch control and comfort modes. The 963 RSP doesn't guide you, it challenges you. It doesn't pamper, it warns you. It's loud, sharp, relentless, and doesn't care how expensive your driving gloves are. Even just managing it on public roads has been described as full-on. Not because it's twitchy or temperamental, but because it's so alive. The inputs are heavy, the ride is stiff, the controls are mechanical, and there's no insulation from the violence happening beneath you. It's not dialed down from its race configuration, not in feel, not in sound, and definitely not in spirit. There's no illusion of luxury here. What you get instead is a hypercar that respects its origin story, a machine that brings race car violence to the real world with only the bare minimum concessions to legality. This isn't Porsche showing off, this is Porsche asking the questions, what if we didn't hold back? So how do you take a Le Mans prototype and make it technically roadworthy without dulling its bite? Well, you tweak it. And Porsche did just that. They didn't tone it down, they tweaked it. The ride height's been raised just enough to clear speed bumps without shearing off carbon. The spool valve dampers have been softened slightly to handle real roads, though soft is a relative term when you're talking about a car bred for Eau Rouge. The ECU is completely reprogrammed. Not to make it gentle, but to make it manageable. The hybrid system has also been dialed back, not in hardware, but in aggression. No frantic regen braking, no hair trigger deployment, just smoother transitions that won't send you into orbit at the first throttle blip. And here's the key. None of this touches the engine's mechanical ferocity. No detuning, no rev limiters slapped on for emissions. This is still a full-blooded race car underneath. Porsche didn't dilute it, they simply made it possible to survive it. It's a Frankenstein's monster with street shoes and a license plate, and somehow it works. If you could just take one lap in the 963 RSP, where would you go? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you want more insane stories from the edge of automotive engineering.